try to make sure we're streaming to Facebook again also. All right, so I'm really excited to be on here with you all, and really just talking about some good information in regards to songwriting and things of that nature. I love talking about music, and it's not just because I'm a musician, it's not just because I'm a songwriter, but I feel that music is one of those things that can really help people like stay encouraged and just reach across a lot of different lines. As you guys are coming in, just make sure that you're keeping your mic on mute. We're going to have time to discuss and talk as well. So I don't want to have to do the mass mute type thing, but just so everybody's not distracted. But yeah, so it's really interesting, the stuff that we have to do in regards to understanding where people are in ministry and everything like that. Not just ministry, this is kind of a songwriter's class for music in general. And I just want to make sure that everybody's getting information that they need. First off, because I wanted to be more interactive tonight, so I don't want to just talk at you all, but I want you all to kind of share with me where you feel that you are in your songwriting journey. So I measure where people feel like they are in their songwriting journey, not necessarily by how many, it's a combination of things. So I can ask you how many songs you've written, and then I can also ask you how many of those songs have been released or published in some form, whether it's by you or by someone else. So let's start there. Those two questions. If you guys can drop in the chat for me, how many songs you've written over the course of your musical career, and then also how many songs have been released publicly, published in some way, whether it's with you or another artist. So those two questions, you guys can drop those answers in the chat, and that'll help me know where everybody is in their journey. Several songs, completed songs, another story. That's funny. I understand the feeling. $15, possibly more, to record it. Okay, sounds great. Ooh, that's a lot of songs. That's awesome. Which I've been knowing Robert for a little minute now, and I know I'm not surprised at all that he has plenty of songs under his belt. I see some people commenting on Facebook. What's up, Kendall? It's good to see you. So yeah, and I'm gonna make sure that we're sharing the link on Facebook as well for people to hop in if they just desire to be in the meeting specifically. That'll make it kind of easier for me to interact with people, because I'm kind of going back and forth between Facebook and Facebook is several songs, completed songs, another story. That's okay. So, all right. Yeah. So, okay, I have one released personally and one on the album. Okay, great. All right. Now I know Jeremy and Jahavi's answer personally because I work with them. I produce some of their music. We're getting ready to do a live recording right now. I'm excited about that. Mostly song ideas, a bunch, not too many to completion and release. We're gonna get y'all out of that tonight. Deliverance in Jesus' name. I understand. Trust me, I do. I really enjoyed when I first started producing. I was really trying to help people like Jeremy. Jeremy's a songwriter as well. And I would say his journey was just really trying to find a way to get his music out to the world, really trying to encourage people through his music. And we were like lucky enough to be able to go on that journey together as I was continuing to grow. as a music producer, and helping him release his first single, which I don't remember what all countries that you were able to get the song into, like as far as listenership. I know you told that story many times, but if you put that in the chat for me, because that's really helpful for people to know, even if you're starting out your first song, you would be surprised how much impact you can just have once you finally get it out there. So if you can put that in the chat, you or Jahavia, that would be great. But yeah, we went on that journey together. He was one of my first artists. You're kidding, it's 20 now? That's awesome. He's one of my first artists that I worked with when I first started producing. And he was going through a lot of those same, anxieties that we go through of just, this is my first time writing a song. It's my first time releasing a song. This is my first time really being able to touch people with my music. It's just a really awkward process. And so I do understand, but my thing for wanting to do this is not about, trying to tell people who they should use to produce it. I've kind of gotten to this place to my point. I'm not really trying to tell people that, oh, you should use our production company. You should do this and you should do that. My thing is, I know I'm not able to help everyone, and it's okay. I'm not assigned to help everyone, but several written, one released, over 20 countries, more on the way to recording, etc. Yeah, I was telling them about that, the live recording that we're working on in May. Excited about that, and several songs that are on that EP that are going to be released. So one of the things that for me, I really discovered over the past few months or so is that I love advising people. I love coaching people and helping people understand maybe you don't see the path to getting your music out there. If you had asked me before any of the song placement, before any of the producing, if I would have music that has made its way around the country and beyond the US the way that it has, I would have thought you were joking. And it really took just someone speaking into my life, which I'll get more into that story later. It took someone speaking into my life to say that that was something that I was really supposed to be doing. So just keep in mind that it's okay for you to not necessarily be feel like you maybe your goal is not to be the world's top best whatever, whether it's songwriter, artist, you name it. Maybe you just feel like, okay, God gave me this song, maybe I need to get it away from just sitting on my hard drive or sitting on my computer, and just maybe it's meant to touch some people. So I'm going to talk about all that stuff tonight. I'm going to talk about the nitty-gritty of songwriting, the nitty-gritty of getting your songs out, and also working on getting the songs for placement, because I know we have some different people on some different levels in different places. So first things first, I'm going to tell you about my individual journey with music and where I really feel as though my journey with music took place. And I just want to help you all understand. Oh, he got the whole image in there from Spotify. That's dope. Yeah, so I don't know if I'm sharing the screen. Oh, I'm not sharing the screen. Okay, so I'm just going to share the screen real quick on so that people that are watching online can see it also. But yeah, so I'm going to make sure that we are sharing that. So for me, I would say my individual journey just kind of started with, I would say I was a musician as a kid. And I didn't really start taking music seriously until I was in my late teens, or I say right as I was crossing into my teens. And I didn't really understand that this was something that I wanted to do for real until right before I turned 13. I had some people that were just kind of telling me this is something that I could do. They were just telling me, man, Derest has an ear for music. And I was just kind of like, well, I feel like I have an ear, but I don't really know what should I be doing with, this gift, because I would mess around with the organ occasionally when I was younger. but I didn't really know what I should be. I didn't see the connection of me actually playing. And there was this one particular song that I listened to off of Twinkie Clark's album, Home Once Again. She was playing a organ solo. And that I listened to that song about 100 different times over. And that's when I decided I really wanted to be a musician. And it's funny because I never thought about until recently, I tried to write a song when I was younger. And just being new to being a musician, new to being any type of attempting to write a song, I took it to someone and I said, hey, listen to this. Tell me what you think of it. And of course, it was just music because I didn't know how to sing at the time. I wasn't really hearing lyrics at the time or anything. I just had music that I was putting together, I was composing. And the response that I got from that person, it didn't encourage me to pursue songwriting. It was more of just kind of one of those responses that you get when somebody's like, okay, like, that's nice. And it just really deflated me in a sense. And I didn't want to write anymore, like, in all honesty, or I just didn't have a desire to try to create anything else, because I was just like, well, what's the purpose of, like, I tried and then people don't really seem like they're interested. I'm trying to make sure I'm seeing everybody that's on here. Oh, okay, Brittany's on here. That's awesome. Brittany is another artist I work with, actually a spoken word artist, and we're working on some music from her soon. It's going to be released as well. So it's good to see you on here, Brittany. But yeah, I attempted when I was a kid. I didn't get the response that I wanted. I didn't feel like I was being encouraged to pursue. I didn't know I was songwriting at the time. Well, I knew I was trying to write a song, but I didn't really know how to go about it. And then having someone that might have had more information on it, and they didn't really encourage the gift, it just kind of shut me down before I even got started. And I literally told somebody that the other day. I was just like, what would have happened if I really started writing when I was a kid, instead of starting writing when I was in my mid to late 20s? Like, where would I be right now? But God works everything out for a reason. I actually got a prophecy from Todd Hall. When I was in my 20s, I was already a musician at the time, playing different places. And that's when he had called me out and said I was going to write a song that was going to take care of me for the rest of my life. Not knowing it wasn't going to be too many years after that I was going to get into arranging, creating music, producing, and songwriting. And I created a song for my church choir. I can probably pull that up for people who are not aware, but I created a song for my church choir, and the name of the song is called He Won't Fail. And that song was popular enough in the local arena. People that knew about it, they were excited about it. But it didn't really go anywhere as far as what I thought it should be. I was like, well, I feel like this song is supposed to go further than just my church and my local, this local area. So lo and behold, I actually was able to get it, trying to see if that image will pull up. But I was able to get it placed with Ricky Dillard at the time. And it was actually maybe a year or two after that. So that what I just showed you is the first version with my church that we did. And then the second version is a song on Ricky Dillard's album with The Breakthrough. And it's the song of the same name that I actually wrote. And it was placed on Ricky Dillard's album. So it was really cool to be able to do that. And I'm not showing it's like, look at this, but it's really amazing to me because I never would have imagined that I would be on this journey that I'm right now. Because somebody points out to me, wow, you're on Motown. Like, even though it's the gospel division, like, you realize how influential Motown is. And I hadn't thought about it from that aspect of like what Motown has meant to not just the gospel music industry with taking on a gospel division, but the music industry at large, with the Berry Gordy's and Temptations, all the different people that were associated with Motown, Stevie Wonder. Like, I was like, that's really major. And just even being able to do that. And I would say a lot of that, just being able to deal with the people that handle the credits and do different things like that. Oh, I'm just now seeing where Terrence was saying we're supposed to join the Zoom. It's optional, Terrence. You don't have to join the Zoom. The Zoom is more for people who may want the additional interaction and want to share their music. Terrence Dooley is actually an amazing songwriter and artist himself. So I don't know that he really needs to be on here, because he already knows his music is dope, and I've already hyped him up a few times. But if you just want to join, you can definitely join. Oh, see, now I'm nervous because he's an actual songwriter. I just pretend sometimes, but anyways, I'm gonna let that go. So yeah, for me, I think this journey has not really been me feeling I am really qualified in a sense to have a song on a Ricky Diller's album. And it's just really been a journey for me to just experience. That's dope. I appreciate you being on here, for real. If you don't know who Terrence Dooley is, you need to look him up, like, right now. Like, his music is legitimately amazing. And so for me, I've really been on this journey of just realizing what I love to do, what is my passion in regards to, I actually teach school during the day. And I learned that even though I never thought I'd be in the education field, I actually enjoy teaching people about certain subjects that I have a passion in. And one of the things that I've recently realized is I love helping people with production. I love helping people with their musical journey. And I really love people, like helping people find ways to get their music to a different audience. So I'm going to talk about that more, of just what I do on the advising side, consulting side with music, what we're going to get into in a bit. But I just really want to be able to share and pour back to other people the things that other people that have mentored me have poured into me. So I'm just going to jump right in, and I'm kind of borrowing some things from some different places. So as we get into just talking about what songwriting is, what songwriting typically looks like, it's just some information. I'm very much the type of person that likes to Google different things. And I'm just going to share with you guys some basic things that I picked up from going to school, and then also just understanding songwriting as part of performing it. So what is songwriting? Songwriting is the process of writing lyrics and music for a song. Songwriters may work on songwriting by themselves or with a songwriter-artist collaboration. One of the things that I think is really dope, if you watch some of the other people in other areas, I would say with gospel and everything like that, gospel does it. I would say even more so, your CCM people do it more often. And if you look at the most popular songs, they will have a whole slew of people on there that's like teaching, or rather working together to create the song, write the song together. So they got songwriting collectives, people that will get together and write specifically to help that music have a well-rounded sound. So me personally, this is just how I write and how I look at things. I know I have a choir background. I grew up listening to my mom teach choirs for our church, teach choirs for our state and our, Kojic and everything like that. So I naturally love choirs. I've also been around praise teams, worship leaders, different people that have different styles in the way they approach music. But I've also recognized, even when it comes to the writing part, I tend to lean more towards writing choruses or hooks, and we'll talk about the different parts of the music as well. And I have to have someone help me with the verse, because the verse, I would say, is the most, I would say it's the most in-depth part of a song. You want to make sure the verse is not just saying stuff just to say stuff. It has to tell a story. It has to be cohesive with the rest of the song. It has to make sense. So that one is always one that takes me more time to really think about what is the message that you want to convey with the song, especially with worship and things like that. You want to make sure it's biblically sound. You want to make sure it makes sense within the context of everything else. So those are just some things to keep in mind. Songwriters typically work with both lyrical and instrumental elements, while composers may only work with instrumental elements. What does that mean for you as a songwriter being on here? So I would ask this too: how many people on here feel like they are songwriters? And I'd say you have, I'm gonna pull this over here so I can see you guys talking, but you have a situation where you work with someone else to help you create the music for your songs, as opposed to maybe you can independently create the music and do the songwriting for yourself. So if you play an instrument, you say what instrument you play, or you say you usually collaborate with someone else to create your songs. What does that typically look like for you all? You can put that in the chat. So Jeremy said his wife and I collaborate, and I've seen them too, because typically they have this very interesting relationship. I don't know how much he wants me to say, but I know that they both play different instruments. And so they will collaborate with each other, bounce ideas off of each other as they're writing. So Terrence said he typically writes his a cappella in the car, something put on a voice note, then get home and add music. Mine is actually very similar, Terrence. I get a lot of my music at the most awkward times, when I'm not near a piano or anything to be able to take it down. So I typically have to sing something in my phone real quick to kind of remember the melody, and then add the chords and other instrumentation to it later when I get home. Artelia said, okay, cool. I play organ, so I pretty much have the basics of how I want the music to go. Same. Okay, that's awesome. So yeah, Jeremy said we both write. She plays, I sing, she sings, voice notes, videos converted to MP3s, etc. And that's awesome. I feel like it is helpful. It is not required. It's helpful when you do have a way to be able to convert it to some type of musical form. But if you can't, you feel like I'm just good at writing lyrics, or I'm just good at writing, little tidbits of like stuff I can sing, as opposed to being able to play it. There's room for literally everyone, and you can look up different stories of people that have done this, and they will tell you that there were certain people that they didn't even sing. They didn't even necessarily have a musical ear. I'm trying to remember the name of someone specific, but it was some people that they were ghostwriters on like major artists, songwriting, and they would just help come up with the ideas for the song, maybe not even musical, but the writing lyrics, writing the hooks, or top lines or whatever. There's literally something for everyone. Even if you feel like, well, I can only come up with little melodies, jingles here and there, you would be amazed at how that one thing that you have to offer can help be the thing that makes that song make sense and be a hit. Even if you feel like, well, I don't know how to put the whole song together. And so that's kind of the thing that I want to help people understand today. There's somebody that you can connect with and help you be able to bring those songs to full completion. You just have to network with people who are doing similar things to you, and then find those connections to collaborate with. We'll get into that. So, songwriters typically spend a lot of time singing or playing an instrument, and they incorporate that into their songwriting process. Talking too fast. Okay, Robert said I basically write and sing. I hear music in my head, even though I don't play it. I hear it, record, then work with musicians. Exactly. Yeah, it's ways to put the pieces of the puzzle together. even if you feel like you may not be able to do everything that is required to bring that song to completion. So this is something that I'm getting into in a minute. This is why I'm just laying the foundation with songwriting, because this is also important to understand once we start talking about the copywriting and publishing side, what that songwriter's role is and what rights you have in regards to your music, which is your intellectual property. But songwriters, what they do differently than composers or musicians. Brian Cook just jumped in here. I usually write with the piano, sometimes a cappella. Brian, good to see you. Let me know where you're watching from. The songwriter's job typically includes being the song's lyricist as well as the songwriter's composer. They work collaboratively or along with other songwriters, composers, or music producers to create a song with musical identity. Musical identity is important. You want to be able to tell different parts of the song. You want to have parts that stand out, make things unique. We're going to talk about some real life examples of, musical identity for a song. Watching from Toledo, Ohio. That's awesome. We got a few Ohio people in here. But yeah, songwriters are responsible for writing the lyrics and melody of the song. I didn't read that part. They often work with music producers and the other musicians to create a song. So there are three main elements, and I'm just going to put that in the chat as well. You have music, melody, and lyrics. Those are the main parts. So the difference between music and melody officially in regards to composition, you may be able to sing a melody with your voice, but you may not automatically have the harmony parts that go with that melody as you're singing it. Maybe you get with a musician to do that, or maybe you know how to play it on a piano. But I would say music is everything outside of the original melody line, which a lot of us, we can tell what song that a person is singing by listening to them singing that one line of the song that is the defining line for the song. I'm trying to think of a concrete example. But if I were to sing something like Signed, Sealed, Delivered, I'm Yours, if I start singing the melody for the chorus, you're going to start to recognize as I'm singing those notes, what song does that sound like? Because we know what Stevie Wonder sounds like when he sings the chorus to that song. We recognize the melody that he's singing. So even if I don't have the full song playing with all the instrumentation, all of the extra things that make up the sound recording, I can typically tell if someone is singing or even just humming the melody. I can tell what song it is. And then lyrics is another thing that we use to define which song it is. What are the words? What is Signed, Sealed, Delivered saying as we're going through that song, listening to it? So music, melody, lyrics. Music is typically consisting of the song arrangement, the song composition, how it's written from the musical standpoint. Did they use strings? Did they use guitars? Did they use piano? What instrumentation did they use to create the song bed? And then a lot of what will be changed when you have multiple people that have recorded different versions of a song, different covers to a song. They may use different instrumentation to help those songs be different from each other. So that's just a little bit about that. Okay, composers, on the other hand, they write the music for a song, but they may not write the lyrics. A lot of musicians may work with songwriters as composers, being able to help that songwriter to be able to create the music for their song. But I would say this too, just know your rights in regard to that, because it's hotly debated. I'm a musician, so I understand both sides. But it's hotly debated when it comes to working with someone that is a musician, and they may not have been the original writer of that song, but they are adding the music to your song, whether or not they should receive the same type of rights to a song, like the intellectual property of that song, if the song gets published, as you did. So you may want to have that conversation with them up front. Hey, this is more work for hire. I'm paying you this much. You're helping me create the music for the song, but I'm the original songwriter, so I retain all my rights. Having those conversations up front, it can save you a lot of headache down the line in case somebody gets, beside themselves. But as a songwriter, that is your choice to be able to have those conversations up front and say, if I'm giving you a percentage, it's going to be this much. I created the majority of the song, or I created the song. I just gave you the music to be able to try and add music to it, but I retain the rights to the melody and the lyrics. So just so you know those things. The main difference between a songwriter and composer is that songwriters write both the lyrics and the melody of a song, while composers only write the music. So again, back to what I was talking about, composers add music, songwriters have the lyrics and the melody of a song. And some people, it just kind of depends on the writing process. You may bring in other people to top line. I know producers that they can come up with music all day. Lyrics is not their strong suit. So maybe that person is being able to help and give that information of, this is what I hear musically. Can you sing to this? Can you come up with melody lines for this? Can you add lyrics to it? So there's, like I said, there's always a solution for if you feel like one area is your strength in songwriting, maybe another area is not, but you have options for that. So I'm not going to get into some of this other stuff because I am trying to kind of keep it close to my original hour, but I do want to get into just some other things. I said I was going to talk about copyright and publishing. I'm going to drop this link in the chat as well, but you can kind of see what website this is. If you are wanting to take your music and get it released, get it published, meaning that you want to get it placed with someone else, do those things, you do want to have it registered officially with the government and the Copyright Office. So as of right now, I have all of my songs copywritten, knock on wood. And the reason for that is because it's a few different things that you have to do in order to ensure that your rights are in place for your content. It's just like when people, there have been many suits and many different things over the years, even recently. I don't want to put my foot in my mouth naming some of the recent cases where people have sued other people in regards to, hey, this is a song that we put out at this date and y'all took it and sampled it without permission, or you took it and, made it seem as if it was your composition. So without going too detail into that, you do want to have some form of rights available to you to be able to say, hey, this is my composition. Now, on the flip side of that, not saying that everything is supposed to be a poor man's version, but you do have a poor man's copyright that they used to use, which was just, I'm gonna mail it to myself. I'm going to have a copy, physical copy of a CD or something. I mail it to myself. It has the post date on it to be able to say that this was recorded on this date. I have the proof for it. Really, actually, because we live in a digital age, you have that on your computer. Whatever first date that you had the recording of that music on your computer, whatever producer you're working with having that recording, that is also proof. Timestamp, thank you. That's also proof that you have some type of situation where you're able to show when you were working on that music. You can do that. So just know you have options. It's more people jumping here, praise God. You have options to be able to show that, I would say you want to have it just in case, and especially if you are looking to get the songs placed down the line. But it's a lot harder for, I would say, people to get away with trying to take someone's music or take someone's intellectual property. So just so you know, the right way to do it and the proper way to do it, it does usually cost a fee, I would say 50 to 60, somewhere around there. I don't remember the exact number, but you can pay that in order to be able to have it officially registered. And they're going to want a copy of the song. They may want lyrics as well. So just having those things in place. Now, before I get into more of the, sharing of different people's songs and whatnot, I do want to mention this as well. Publishing, this is something that I'm really passionate about, and I went to school to be able to learn what is the business behind this. This is even before I got the Ricky Diller placement. I really wanted to know what is publishing, because we have some different places that, and I'll drop that in the chat of where you can go to get your publishing taken care of, but you want to have some type of publishing in place when you go to get those different things. So you got BMI, ASCAP, CSAC. CSAC is by invitation. So you have to really make a name for yourself in the musical industry to be able to get into CSAC. But BMI and ASCAP, you can go register on either one of those, and they are performing rights organizations. They will help you get your music registered in such a way that you can collect royalties on it. So the funny part about it, not even knowing that I was going to be in a position to get a Ricky Diller placement, I already had those things in place by the time they called me. And it just so happened that I was in school studying this at the time, but I already had registration with BMI for He Won't Fail. I had registration with BMI for one of the other songs that I wrote for another project. And all I had to do was give them my information to be able to have them put the song on the record. And I was really kind of amazed at how they were so, I guess, pleased with me in a sense, being able to go through that office, and they were dealing with people that might be delayed and getting them paperwork, getting things back to them. But they were just like pleasantly surprised by me being able to get that information to them so readily and quickly. It's like, thank you so much for getting this to us in a timely manner. And so it just kind of goes to show, in the music business, things can be pretty hectic. Everybody may not necessarily get them. Oh, that's good. Somebody said, what about registering songs in volumes? You can do that as well. Let's say you have a album, right? You can get a song registered on the US government website. I wonder if I can pull it up here, but you can register a work, and a work can be more than one song. So if you have, let's see, if it'll show it on here, but you can go, and he says you can register up to 10 unpublished work on the same application, but you must select a new application for a group of unpublished work. So it only goes up to 10, but you can use that if you're working on your album and you want to be able to like copyright all those in the same month. And that makes the price that you pay for each individual song go down as well. So thank you for pointing that out. That is very helpful for people to know as well. So yeah, good stuff. You have the publishing that allows you to be able to collect royalties on your song. I was really just kind of overwhelmed when I was able to get that first BMI check. Full disclosure, it wasn't $1 million, but I was just really amazed at being able to start at where I was and be able to see basically where I'm going, or just where God could potentially take this. Because again, going back to the prophecy, it may not be this one song, but it may be another song that I write that has the ability to bring me that mega bucks. But there's everything, it's a journey, it's a step. So you want to start somewhere, and you want to be able to, record those milestones. I still have that check. I was able to do mobile deposit, and I still have it at home. If you register multiple songs as a work, how does it work if some just want one song out of the 5 in that work? That's a good question. I think as long as it's registered, it's just showing that you own the copyright to that song. So I don't want you to get confused between publishing, which is what I'm about to get into, and copyright. Copyright is just basically saying you own the rights to that song as a copyright, as opposed to publishing is more so the, how do I want to put that? Performing rights. Performing rights means this is the work, that you did is either a sound recording or it's a composition. And I'm about to get into that right now. But it's two ways that you can register it for publishing: sound recording and composition. So I'm going to just type that in the chat as well. So composition and sound recording, you hear people refer to it as the master recording, or, you know, when they talk about, oh, this person took the rights to the master, you know, Twinkie and all them dealt with that. Different artists through the years. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit, why you have to be careful with some of these deals that people make with recording companies. It's not as prevalent now because recording companies, they've changed so much in the way they offer those deals, labels, recording labels in the industry. They are not flourishing the way that they did back in the day. But their whole business model back in the day was giving people all these advances of money. And it was basically a big scheme. You gave people money, making them feel like they're on top of the world. They give you $1,000, not $1,000, $100,000 advance. $1,000 might have been more back in the day. $100,000 in advance on your project that you're working on. But you don't realize, because you didn't read the fine print, that is not something that, it's not just you paying back the $100,000, it might be the interest, but you also, it's not a gift. You have to pay it back. So a lot of these people went into the hole, lost all their money, went bankrupt, did all this type of stuff, because now they're in virtual servitude, slavery to these record companies. And on top of that, it's really heartbreaking to hear the stories of people that have been in those situations. They bought your rights from you. Yeah, Prince, it's a lot of artists have spoken out on it. I think that's why now that we're in that technology age, digital age, they have not been able to flourish as much as they have for various reasons, but also people becoming aware of the schemes. So these people, they are being given money to be able to record their projects with this particular record label. The record label is funding them, but they're really just giving them a loan. So they have to make a certain amount when they tour. They have to make a certain amount from sales. They have to do all this stuff in the attempt to get that record label their money. And then don't let it be something where they decide they're going to trick you and make you think, oh, well, all you got to do is just record another album. We'll give you another event. So you're getting further in debt with them. They're trying to make it look like we're giving you an out, but you're just getting deeper and deeper in debt. Hopefully nobody's in that situation now, but that's why you really have to be careful. I think a lot of people's mentality has changed. Like Jeremy said, they're going independent because it just makes more sense now. And I would tell you the truth, some of these record labels, they are looking for people to get on their record label who already have an audience. They wait until these people blow up on social media. They already have a large following. And now we want to do all this stuff to have this person be on a record label because we want to, we want to feed off of that. Hey, Eric, I'm just now seeing your comments. Good to see you, man. I miss you as well. Good to see you on here for sure. But yeah, all these people are doing this stuff, and they're trying to get basically the rights for you and what you bring to the table. You built an audience on your own. That's why they're always trying to look to see what's your social media following like. They want to ride off of whatever success you created for yourself. And if you can do it independent and not have to pay nobody, you're really in the best position you can be in. I'm gonna move from that subject. So publishing, performing rights, you have some different deals that you kind of enter into. When I entered into the publishing deal with Ricky Dillard, I had to give a certain portion of my songwriting away, my composition rights. And I also had to give away a certain part of my publishing. But I knew for me, where I was trying to go, what I was trying to do, it was worth it because of the exposure that it's brought. And I cannot tell you how many people have hit me up since that song has come out. And just number one, in addition to just asking, well, how can I get on with Ricky, but also just opening doors to other opportunities, different things of just writing and different things of just being able to reach a new audience. And that was my goal for that song. Even if I might not be making a bunch of money off of the song per se, I'm getting that song into new audiences, new exposures, new levels for my name. And rest to God be the glory. Did he add anything to your song to work that split? Yes, he did. That's a good point. I don't know if it'll let me play the song on here because I know Facebook can be finicky, but I think with Facebook, you can kind of, the song will kind of mute if it hears something that doesn't like, but I can show you all what that looked like for my song. I can show you the part that he added. And so, let's see. I think it allowed us to share the sound. Let's see. So if I were to play that for you, most of the song is the same. Can you guys hear that?
Come on, turn my daughter. Come on, get on your feet.
So it's a couple places. Right about there. So when they get ready to change, that was not in the song. So they just went into the song a different way. And then there's another section that's later in the song that they come to change. Right here. That was not in the song here. But some people that have to do it and usually didn't change a lot in the song. Those are the only places that he made those adjustments to the song. Most of the song is relatively the same. So hopefully, like I said, they don't, cut off my Facebook access, whatever, just by me playing that. But yeah, that is an excellent point. That song, I was told, and I don't want to get in trouble for saying this, but I was told that is something that a lot of these songwriters do. I mean, not songwriters, a lot of the artists do, in order to be able to have both sides of because it's two different copyrights. Like I said, there's the composition part and there is the sound recording part. So the composition is just, how did you write the song? It's more to do with the lyrics, musical composition to a degree, but the sound recording, they'll add a verse quick. Yeah. The sound recording itself is a whole nother thing for, let's say, Beyonce wants to sample Terence's song. And so she has to get the rights for that song the way that it was actually recorded on the original release that he did. If she's trying to sample, because she sampled Twinkie's song. Terrence said, he said, I'll say thank you, Lord. I would too. Shoot. I know Twinkie was praising God all the way to the bank. So those are some things about it. That's how you can differentiate a master recording, a sound recording from the composition part, because a lot of people, that's why you have so many different versions of some of these songs. CCM stuff, I won't name names and songs. Twinkie was in the room saying, oh God, thank you. Yeah. So the composition part of it, I can record a version of Nobody Like You, Lord. I can do it different from the way that, what's the girl's name? I can do it different than Miranda Curtis did it. And then I'm just using the rights. I have to buy the rights for the composition, the way the song was written, the lyrics and all of that. I might not use the exact same instrumentation that she used on her song. And that's really what differentiates, composition rights from sound recording rights. Now, if I decide to sample her original recording, then I have to try to get access to the master recording rights, because now I'm playing that exact version that she used in my composition or my sound recording. So just to, again, differentiate sound recording, master recording, those are the same thing versus composition. So publishing, I'm right at the mark. We started a little late, but I do want to hear some people's songs before we get off of here, and we're gonna have fun a little bit. So standard publishing deal. So you may be able to go half and half. Sounds good. And I'm gonna put my email on here, mainly for the people that are in the mainly for people that are in this Zoom, because I do appreciate everybody that hopped on. If I do it all on Facebook, we're gonna be here all night, and I can't play everybody's just for the sake of time, but I will try to play a few people's songs just so we can talk about it, maybe get some constructive feedback, but nothing too crazy. So a standard publishing deal, the revenue is split in half. One share goes to the writer and the other share goes to the publisher. So that's pretty much, you want to, I would say this too, you want to be able to create your own publisher for yourself and your brand, if you can, going into any deals that you make with someone else. Ask me how I know. When I was doing those deals, I was signing all the paperwork for Universal Music and Capitol with Ricky Diller's deal. That was something that they were asking me for. What was my publishing? That was part of the splits. MP3 or YouTube link, doesn't matter. Anything you want to send. As long as I can play it on here, that's fine. So YouTube link might even be a little easier, to be honest. So you have those different things. I have Dream in Color Productions worldwide. I don't know who already had Dream in Color Productions, but for some reason that name was taken. But praise the Lord, the Ricky Diller stuff has gone worldwide, so it's actually self-fulfilling prophecy. Praise God. So that was my publisher name. Is separate from me, Derest Craig, as the songwriter. So that's what you have to understand, is that when it comes to publishing and royalties, the way those are distributed and collected, I get a different check for each one. I get a check that goes to Dream in Color Productions worldwide, and I get a check that goes to Derest Craig as a songwriter. And I praise the Lord for it. So you want to have those things in place. That's why it's important to register either with BMI or ASCAP, or if you're so blessed to get on with CSAC, you can do that as well. And you can register twice, register as a writer and as a publisher, and be able to collect both of those. So I recommend, if you don't take nothing else from what I said tonight, if you're planning on putting your songs out for release, you want to get your songs placed and published and collect some checks, you want to get those songs registered. So that's just some action items for you. I'm registered with BMI, but I don't think all of my info is correct. You got to go make sure it's correct. And there are tutorials online. Publishing can be a very confusing thing. I have a mentor that sits down with us, talks production or publishing every single week. And we still get tripped up here and there because it is a more complicated subject and it's not talked about enough. But that's one of the things that you can do, is try to research it, learn more about it. And again, I can help with that if you just want someone that can help you walk through that process. But that will also be probably something that requires a fee. But you got your standard publishing deal, co-publishing. I had to give some of my publishing to, they had his name on here. Will Bogle is Ricky's producer, but he was also handling the publishing at the time. And I don't remember the name of his publishing company. It might have been Will Bogle Productions or something like that. But because he was helping administrate the publishing for Ricky, he had a percentage of the publishing. So I think the publishing part was split 3 ways between myself, Ricky Diller's publishing, and Will Bogle's publishing company, whatever he used. So that's just some insight for you. And then that's actually I would say that's different from the mechanical royalties, because Motown somewhere in there has to get their cut. But I think that might have been more coming from the mechanical, which is the sales of the actual song. So there's a difference. you get a lot of the royalties that you will receive from a composition. Some of those are coming from radio play. Some of those are coming from YouTube streams now, because everything's more digital. YouTube, different places that it's streamed. It may not be a sale, but you're still getting the royalties for how that is being consumed, if that makes sense. So just be aware of that. It's all about your motivation, because I've seen some people that they may be getting their songs published in a certain way, but at the same time, that song is not really traveling like that. So just keep in mind that if you are not reaching a certain level of audience with your releases, you may not see that same type of money off of your song. It's just the way that it works. Everybody now has access to be able to put things out online. So it has to hit a certain threshold in order for you to see the money coming back from that. So just keep that in mind as you're going through that process. But yeah, co-publishing, administration, those are just a few things that you'll see in regards to types of publishing deals, what you'll see as you start working with these upper levels. But one thing that I want to make clear to you all is, if you have any questions about any of this, I do want to just wrap up on this side, because I know this is a very detailed subject. I could talk about this literally from right now, 8:30-ish at night till 12:30, and still not cover everything. So some of this it's gonna take talking about it at a different time, different day. And like I said, I will be able to offer those calls with you all, just to talk about where you are on your individual journey. And I do want to make that open for people to be able to use. So I have a link for that. And then we'll listen to some songs, but I do want to share with you all a link just to be able to book with me for the Calendly stuff once I get my computer correct. But Calendly is something that I use to be able to schedule with people, just to be able to talk to them. And I really want to get to learn more about everybody that's on here. And it's free. It's not going to cost you anything to schedule that with me. So I do recommend everybody that's on here sign up for it. And even if you don't feel like you want to take any further action beyond that, just kind of talking about what are some things maybe you can work on your own and be able to get your music where you want it to be. So that's going to be important. And I'm going to play some people's songs on here in just a second. As a matter of fact, I'm going to play Artelia's while I'm pulling up my Calendly link, so that way we can have something going. So this is, before I play this is something that this is placed on another person's, album. Is that correct? Because I see it's not your name. Yes, okay. That's what I figured. You play for him. Awesome. Are you playing on this track? Awesome. See, girl power. All right. Yeah, let's listen to it. I might not play the whole thing, but let's check it out.
Give thanks unto the Lord. Call upon his name. Make known his deeds among the people. And when the divine God performs a divine deed, we refer to that as a sign and a wonder.
Your signs and wonders, your mighty works, your kingdom is forever. You reign throughout all time.
Oh yes, signs and wonders, your mighty works, your kingdom is forever.
You reign throughout all time.
Ancient of days, principalities and powers are subject to your nature and your name. No one can do what you do, holy, pure, and true. My heart will sing your praise, and I boast in all your ways. Yeah,
Mighty works,
your kingdom is forever.
kingdom is
is forever. Oh, magnify the Lord with me. Help me bless his name. For the Lord our God is worthy, and forever he reigns. Brand new mercies and grace overflowing. My heart will sing your praise, and I boast in all your ways. Your kingdom is forever. You reign, and your mighty works. Your kingdom is forever. Yeah, yeah. Your signs and wonders. I'm looking at your resume. It is impeccable. You never made a mistake. You never lost a case. Your kingdom is forever. Yeah. Your signs and your wonders. We stand in awe of you. Your kingdom is forever. You reign forever. Yeah. Kingdom is forever. Yeah. When I look back over his record, when I look back over the testimony of Scripture, from the old covenant to the new covenant, everything he does is a sign and a wonder. It's a sign and a wonder. Won't you go with me to the banks of the Red Sea? The water stood up on both sides. God made a way when the enemy came back through and tried to come against the children of Israel. The waters came down and they drowned. The sign of the Lord is that he is a deliverer.
Now, listen here. That song, I can't think of no critique. I'm gonna just be honest with you. I can't think of a darn thing. That is blazing. Like, truthfully, that is a hot song. Yeah, so if you can just share with us, how long ago did you write that? And then just tell me a little bit about what was that journey like from you writing it to having it be on the album? Because I know you said you played for him, but can you talk a little bit about what that journey was like for you?
Sorry, I was typing in the chat. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I wrote that song maybe in 2009, right after we recorded like the first album. This was like the sophomore project. And I really just had the chorus, not really had a verse at first. And I remember sitting in the dentist's office and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna write a verse. And I started kind of writing verses like a hymn, and I was like, no, you don't need 4 verses. But I wrote it back in 2009. We recorded, did like a live recording in 2014, and it kind of like sat on the shelf because it was kind of like a rush recording, but we didn't release the album until like 2020. And Bishop Michael Blue is the soloist on the song. And originally I wanted somebody who could take the vamp and just run with it, because, I wrote it from Daniel 4:3, and during COVID, he was able to stand still long enough, got him to go and put the vocals on the song, and then we have it.
That is awesome. So my question for you would be, with this particular song, and it's awesome that you already do have a placement on someone else's, do you own 100% of the rights to the song? Or when you entered into that arrangement with him, did you all say that you were going to make any type of split with the rights to the song?
honestly, like he's my cousin, so and we would go to the same church, all that good stuff. So I kind of like we didn't really do a whole lot of the paperwork stuff. I went back and I made sure that with my BMI stuff, I like added it there, but I don't know if like it's kind of like all sunk together. So that behind the scenes stuff of making sure everything is locked in, I don't know if I've done that correctly because like probably around 2011 or 12, I did register like multiple songs at one time and this was in there, but it wasn't I know that he didn't have that information when they went ahead and put everything together for the final cut of the album so far as paperwork.
Okay. Yeah, so the reason why I asked that, and I don't know if it's on my end or if it's like it's a little bit lower, but I can still hear you talking. So the reason why I asked that question is because I don't know if it is your desire to have the song be placed, or if song placements is a desire of yours to get into, but I would say start pitching that song to other artists. And when they're kind of coming in, and people do it a lot now, they're going to post online and basically email such and so to this link or this email and get your song placed and do these things in order to get your song placed on our next live recording.
Mhm.
People are doing a lot of that now. And I'm not going to say I don't like it because I know that's the way that we do it right now, but it is helpful to be able to get opportunities to have that song reach a different audience. I'm gonna ask a question and I just want you to respond honestly. Were you 100% happy with the reach of the song? Like how well was it received when it came out and how widespread was the reception?
I would love for it to go further. With the album as a whole, it's the title track is Haya, and that's gone further, but we're like a local group, you know, so like within our region, people know us very well. Back in February, we were at something like a choir thing, and he kind of just sprung it on me. And he was like, we're going to do Signs and Wonders. And honestly, I hadn't played it in a while. I wasn't practicing with the band at the time. And so just to see the response of church was jam packed and they were enjoying the song. So, you know, I would love for it to go further.
Yeah, I say that should be priority one. If it's okay with him, start pitching it to other people as they're kind of putting out those flyers saying we're looking for songs, we're trying to get songs placed on this upcoming project. Start pitching that song to people. And then the beauty of it is I know you may have other songs that you are writing and that they're already published, or well, maybe it's just this one, but you already have something that's fully produced to pitch. And I'm gonna say this too, for everybody that's listening, I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt now, having been through the process and having other producers give me that feedback. I was talking to Donnie McClurkin's producer after the song came out for Ricky Dillard. And he was just saying, the reason why your song is so great is because it was already produced when it came to, Quad and them. And so they don't have to do too much imagining to think, what is this arrangement going to sound like? Does this fit within what Ricky Dillard is trying to accomplish on his album? Is this going to sound like what we want it to sound like? Is it going to make sense with the rest of the record? They don't have to guess at it. Some people may make the mistake of sending in demos that aren't fully fleshed out, whether it's lyrically, whether it's musically, whether it is just having a complete song, complete musical arrangements, complete vocal arrangements. That makes a huge difference as far as your success rate of being able to get that song placed. Because me listening to this as a producer and a musician, I don't have to imagine whether or not I will enjoy having this song on my album. I can already hear it. It sounds awesome. So that's one pro tip that you want to take away if you are trying to get your songs placed, you want to have it at this level where it's fully produced. You can hear the arrangement, you can hear everything that's there, and they don't have to do too much guesswork to figure out if that song will work for them. And I think that's why they were so excited about it when they first got their hands on a song. Like, this is so, like, this is exactly what we're looking for. So thank you so much for sharing that. And please book a call, because I would love to chat with you more. Female musician power, all that good stuff. I'd definitely love to help you just kind of see what all we can do to help get your song in more places, help get your other music in more places, and see where we can get you on this journey. So it's not even fair. I'm gonna go ahead and just play this song now, because you know, his musicianship, it's easier that I'm playing this after another song. How did this, I don't even know how this stuff got on my screen. That's weird. I think it's like a whiteboard or something. But yeah, so Terrence Dooley sent me his project. And this is actually, it's funny that you sent me this one. This is one of my favorite songs on your album. This is the one I always go back to. So I don't even know how I get this stuff off the screen. I'll figure it out eventually. But yeah, let's check this out from Terrence real quick.
Out of all the marvelous things that God can do, He will not fail. Come on. You're an awesome God, an incredible God, and you're able to do anything but fail. You're an awesome God, an incredible God, and you're able to do anything but fail. And we say, you're an awesome God, an incredible God, and you're able to do. God, you specialize in things impossible.
Yeah, I don't have no comments. That is one of my favorite songs. I'm not even just saying that because he's on here. I'm dead serious. That is one of my favorite songs. Thank you for sending that one because I love it. And he's an amazing songwriter, like bar none. This is just one of several songs in his catalog that yeah, if you don't already know who he is, he's dope. Check him out for sure. Thank you for sending that. I'm trying to find Robert Smith's song. I'm actually working with Robert on another project in Detroit. I'm excited about being up there in Detroit with Marcel West, working on his project that's going to be in June. So I'm producing that and wrote some songs for that. And Robert is one of our directors and clinicians on that project. So being able to connect with him. And he also does a lot of directing and different things for Church of God in Christ as well. So you want me to just play the MP3, Robert? Oh, EST. So let me double check because it should be, I'm in you know what, it might be showing up for you on EST because that's your time zone. So because this for me, I think it still says it as, you know, CST, which I'm on CST. So yeah, my time zone says Central, but I think it automatically makes that conversion for you. So we don't have to play mind games of like, what time do we actually need to meet up and trying to do the math? Because I have friends that are in different locations. And sometimes that can be an issue trying to scheduling meetings, but I think it just does it for you. Because it's still saying on my end that it's Central time zone. So yeah, let me pull up Robert's MP3. And then I'll play that for y'all real quick. You gotta tell me the name of your music company because that's interesting. You gotta explain that one to me. And I'm not saying that'd be funny. I'm literally because I know it's a story behind it. So the churchy number. think that I might be getting this one mixed up with the other one you sent me because yeah, I thought I heard this one. But yeah, this is it's good church, man. This is a good song.
Thank you.
Mhm. And then tell me too, because you told me a bit about I guess what are your long-term goals with your music? Because I know you're a big believer in placements. You already had some placements. So where do you feel that you're at with your what's your long-term goal with your music?
Well, I've been writing for a lot of years, kind of doing my thing and just kind of not really doing much with it. I started writing when I was in my teens, and I did a lot of writing. And one of my mentors, who was the late Orlando Draper, sat down with me quite a bit. And once he passed, I stopped writing. And I picked it up maybe 10 years ago when I moved back, well, actually 15 years ago, working with Dr. Dorinda Clark Cole. And I wrote some things for her local choir here in Detroit. And that's what maybe sparked me doing more things. And now I've gotten to the age now, I just want to do more and get out there because I know I have something to offer.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. And I don't want to prophesy on this group message, but I just heard something while you were saying that. And Lord Jesus, I want you to say the last part about why did you stop? Was it around his death, or was it what made you to put it down?
It was around his death. When he passed, because like I said, he really inspired me in a lot of things. Now I was throwing things back in those days. Basically it was basically running around with a tape recorder, and it had a little handheld tape recorder, and I would hear things, and I'd be walking down the street, I'd sing a whole song, and I would pitch it at him, and he would be like, "Oh man, that's cool." He really was encouraging me. And once he passed, I was like, I didn't have nobody in my ear, nobody pushing me to do anything musically until I got involved with Dr. Cole and her choir here in Detroit. And as a result, they kind of re-sparked that interest. And that's one of the main reasons why I started writing again, because I wrote the other song that I sent you was Reach Up and Grab It, which we're going to do with Marcel's project. But it was from that song that sparked a whole nother interest in writing and to getting more so into writing, getting more recordings done.
Okay, I'm not a crier. I feel something on me real bad because I had to start squinting a second because I felt the tears in my eyes, not because it's like I felt you in that moment with you saying that. And it's been a struggle for you because you supported so many people through their projects, through their endeavors. I know you serve faithfully with your church. I know you serve faithfully in different ministries and different denominations and different things that you do. But it's like this longing and this pain that you have of just losing that person that was pushing you and was trying to help you really get your music, push you to that next place. And once that mentor was not there to push you, and I just feel you in this place of just defeat or really just kind of struggling with God of like, well, I guess I'm not supposed to do this because I don't have that person that was able to push me anymore. And I felt you in that moment with you saying that. That's what I felt. So
You're right. Yeah.
I felt also the Holy Ghost telling me to tell you he's sending people that are going to support you in that same way. He's going to send people that are going to support and be encouragers for you, not because of what you do for them, but in that same way that God loves us just because of who we are. It's going to be people coming in your life that can support you and encourage you in your music ministry without having to take from you or without having you to do those things for them. And people are tricky. You have those situations where they know if they say the right things to you, if they dangle things in front of you, if they say that they're going to help you get further along in your journey, then they can use that as bait to help you follow what they do.
Yeah.
And I just feel like with you saying that, God's saying it's time out for that. It's time out for allowing people to take advantage of your kindness, take advantage of your willingness to help them with their vision. And then, because I'm getting in trouble for this, and then God is going to give you the vision and the foresight to be able to bring what's in Robert Smith to the forefront. You're not bringing anybody else to the forefront. You're not helping this person do that. I'm not saying you can't help. I want to make sure that's clear. I'm not saying you can't help. I'm saying it's not going to be anymore about, let me offer this so I can get this person to do this for me. It's going to be about you bringing your gifts to the forefront and you bringing your ministry to the forefront and what God has placed in you. So we're going to talk soon because it's more than I want to say, and I don't have time to prophesy for 15, 30 minutes on here. But there's more. And I feel really touched because I prayed before I got on here. I was like, this is just one person that I can help, one person that I can bless just by this being on it. Because I was in a rush, I was in a mode, and I was just like, I just stopped. And I was like, Lord, whatever reason you told me to put this together, if it's just one person, and I feel blessed and relieved to know that one person was able to be blessed by me doing this. So thank you for sharing your story. And I believe it's going to happen sooner than you think. And people that have overlooked you intentionally and put you to the side and to the back of the choir stand and stuff like that intentionally, they're going to be trying to find you once God takes you to that next platform. And I'm going to stop there.
I received that. Thank you.
I'm going to stop right there. It's more people sending me stuff. Golly. All right. I mean, we can go to 9:30, but I wanted to feel like we were holding church too long. But I got a few more people sending me some songs. Now, if I've already played your song tonight, I may not get into it, another song of yours tonight, just to be fair to everybody. But save the songs for if you want to play another song for me and have you give feedback on it, save it for when we get on the consultation call. So praise God. And I saw some people that have been commenting on the live, not the Facebook chat. So I did put the link in both here and in the Facebook that you can book a call with me so we can talk about your projects and your journey. So with that being said, I've been trying to pull up Brian Cook's link to his music, and it's been giving me glitches. Maybe it's working now. It might be playing now. Let's try it.
Monster.com makes GANs great again. Yeah, you know what? I'm not going to say again because they never were, and they're complicated.
Okay, there we go. I might not play the whole song, but let's check it out.
praise and worship you, to lift you in reverence, to praise and worship you. That's why I live, Lord, just to give you all the glory. And with everything I have, I give you praise. Oh, praise. Yes, Lord. That's what we've come to do, to lift you up. To praise and worship you with my heart. They're raised, giving you all the praise. Everything within to praise and worship you. To worship you. I give you everything that I have, oh Lord. With my heart, my mind, my body, and soul, I live to. You deserve all of the glory, all of the praise. Oh, because you've given me the victory, I will. I give everything, Lord, to praise and worship you. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, and everything within. Oh, I will bless his name. Yes, Lord. I'll give everything, my health, my wealth, my strength, my will, just to give you the glory that you deserve. There's no one like you. There's none above you. Say, I give everything to praise and worship you. Lord. You deserve my praise, oh, not just for what you've done, but for who you've been to me. Oh, I'm gonna give you all my
This right here is one of my 18 audiobooks that I own. It made
Kept popping up from
82 sales
Are
last
you
month on
serious
Audible.
right now? You got to tell me the story about this one, sir, because I wasn't ready.
Say that again.
Definitely got to tell me the story about this one.
I wrote this song 20 years ago.
Oh, you got. Hold on, sorry, I don't know why it's playing again. No, you got to give me some more information. You wrote this song 20 years ago. How long ago was it put out?
I put it out. It just was released October of 2022. Just released.
So what was the, you said you wrote it and you put it out in 2022 or 2002?
20. I wrote it 20 years ago. I put it out October 2022.
Okay, can you tell me what was the delay between writing it and putting it out officially?
Well, I was in the industry with a group called Imani Project. Did a project on CGI, and I kind of took a break, just kind of focused on my local church. And during that time of taking a break from the industry, I kind of just was writing. God was giving me songs, and it was just time. God said it was time to release what He had birthed in me. And I just thought that was a song that I wanted to release. And I kind of wrote the song when my mom was dealing with cancer, and she was a worshiper. And I saw how she continued to give everything, although she had a terminal illness. I saw how she gave God everything, and that was kind of the inspiration for that song. So that was a song I decided to release.
It is an amazing song.
Thank you.
Yeah. And now, how many songs have you written altogether?
Ooh, a lot of songs. A lot. Probably
It
50,
sounds like a seasoned
75.
pen. That's why I asked that. How many songs have you released?
I released on the project I did with the Imani Project. I did 3 songs on there. I produced it, but I thought with this single, I kind of just wanted to concentrate on writing. And I got my son-in-law, Lerone Skeeter McMillan. He produced it, and kind of the rest is kind of history.
Right.
We got Zebulon to do the lead, and because the song originally just was background, and I decided to go ahead and put a lead to it.
It's amazing. I saw somebody was saying that they found another song for their worship team. I might have to show it to my praise and worship team as well. But I would say the thing that I love most about it, the instrumentation is beautiful. The lyrics are good. Not good, they're great. I think the most touching part about it for me is hearing the message of the song, not just the lyrics, but there's an anointing in the song, just listening to it. It's not just about what's there in the sound recording, just the music being great and the lyrics being great. Is something that is intangible, that you feel the presence of God while you're listening to the song. That is what really just struck me just now listening to the song. It's amazing. It is an amazing song.
Thank you so much.
What has been your desire as far as your music? I'll ask you the same question that I asked the other person. Did you feel that you got as great a reception as you could have, or did you feel like you wanted this or any of your other songs to potentially go further than they did?
Right now, my main thing is just being able to, for people to receive the song as I received it, as God gave it.
Mm.
And the thing that I want for that song to do is to touch people's hearts. And so far it's been received pretty good. Right now it's 59 on Media Base. So I'm not so much worried about it getting any awards or anything. It's just about being able to touch people's lives. Being
Mm.
able to have people reflect on where they are, and that it's about him. Because so much of what we do now, we promote ourselves, and I don't need to go into that. We all know that, it's about me now. And we kind of missed the focus on what the focus should be on.
I totally feel you. And I think that's the crazy part about it, because that's exactly what the song is doing. When I'm listening to it, I'm not even as concerned about, like I said, everything else going on in the song, the leader, the lyrics, the music. I'm literally able to tap into the presence by listening to the song, even without listening to all the other elements in the song. And I think that also goes to another point too. I think the inspiration and intent behind writing the song translate into the music more than a lot of people give it credit for. And I've been really blessed to have people that have reached out to me. In my mind, He Won't Fail is a church song. He Won't Fail is a choir song. It's a shouting song. It's a song that people dance to. And it amazes me. I've gotten multiple messages from different people saying they bust out crying listening to the song. They were in full weep mode, and the song blessed them and carried them through. And people saying they got delivered from suicide, and people saying that it's amazing to me, because I'm like, I didn't even know the song could have the capability to touch people in the ways that it has.
Right.
But it makes such a huge difference when the intention behind the songwriting is, and I'm not saying this towards anyone else, but the intention in your songwriting through this song, it was carried out because your intention was pure. And I think a lot of gospel music nowadays, we've lost the purity of intention of really wanting the music to translate to the original purpose, which is giving God the glory, giving God honor, worshiping God. And we have tried to build our own platforms to help build our own artist image and build our own artist platform. And we don't realize that that is devaluing our walk. It's devaluing our songwriting integrity. Because when I listen to this song, I'm not ushered into the presence. I'm not ushered into the glory or the veil. I'm ushered into great musical arrangements and great singing, and trying to help this person build their, fan base. And that is so not have anything to do with this song. I can appreciate it for what value it has as a song that translates to literally worship. It translates literally to God's presence and God's glory. So I just have to commend you on that.
Thank you. I think what's happening now, there's a lot of good gospel music, but I think for right now, a lot of it is intention. Intention in regards to having a particular sound that we think is the trend. I don't think we're not confident in enough in what God has birthed in us to release that. I think some of the music is cookie cutter, and we're trying to have a certain sound instead of giving the people the sound that God birthed in us. We have to be confident in what he's birthed in us, and the people will receive it. It used to be a time where the other church, CCM, they used to emulate us. Now we're to the point that we're emulating them, and we've lost so much of the soul and the passion in our music because we're trying to do a certain sound. And that sound, it's okay, but we've lost a lot. We lost a lot of what people have tried to emulate. I just think we need to go back to trusting in what God has birthed in us and be confident in that.
I couldn't have said it better myself. I think that's an important thing to keep in mind. If we are saying that we are in this journey to create gospel music, to create music that, number one, is supposed to touch God's heart, and
Yes.
then also bring other people to God, we have to make sure that we're keeping that at the forefront. It's very easy to get caught up in trying to compete with this person and be like that person. And we could so easily lose sight of the original message and the original author and who we're trying to point people to. We have to make sure we keep that at the forefront. Thank you so much for sharing this song. It's going to be in my playlist for sure. Matter of fact,
Thank you so
all
much.
these, I'm going to be adding them to my playlist because it's good stuff. And if you can, just drop the names of the songs in the chat so people can go back and add them. I know we've been enjoying everybody's songs. So my computer, unfortunately, is getting close to dying, and I don't know where the charger is. So I'm just going to play one more song before we get off of here. And I really appreciate everybody that has come on. I didn't expect anybody to register. I expected like 2 people to register. And it really is amazing to me, and it blesses me that people felt this was enough of a use of their time to be able to be on here and share their music and also listen to me talk about a bunch of stuff. That is really, that's very meaningful to me, believe it or not. And I really appreciate everybody that has come on here. And please, if there's any way, if maybe you are not wanting to do a call per se, but you can just email me on the email. If I need to put it back in the chat, I can. You just want to connect. But I wanted this to be not about selling things or not about trying to get people to do this particular thing with me and do whatever, but I really just wanted to connect with other songwriters and artists that may be on different journeys and doing different things, but you want to connect with people who genuinely want to help you give the tools and the strategy and the plan on how to win in the sense of getting your music out to a wider audience, even if it's not about necessarily building your brand or trying to become a famous singer or anything like that. Maybe you just know your music is called to be heard on a more widespread audience. There's nothing wrong with knowing that. I felt it. I felt it when it came to He Won't Fail. I would listen to it all the time, and I just knew there's some type of way, not because I think my song is that great, but I just felt that there was something about the song, there was something on the song that at some point God was going to allow it to reach a larger group of people than my local arena. And it's nothing against them because DFW has been very supportive. I appreciate them, but I knew this is supposed to go further. And for some people, it can be really frustrating when you're in that place of knowing it's supposed to go further and not sure how to get there. So I would love to help anybody that wants that help. I would love to connect with you all. So that's my spiel. Definitely set up with a call with me or email me if you just want to share some more music, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. So I'm going to play a song that I worked on with Jeremy Jackson. He wrote it. He's another one that is my covenant brother. And he also got a prophecy as well. I don't want to misquote his prophecy, but his music is going to be touching the nations. I firmly believe that is really going to come to pass. And this is a song that we worked on. We did it. We produced it originally as a studio track, And then I actually did a project with multiple people that I produced, kind of doing a collaboration, and we did a live version of it. And I'm gonna play the live video so you can see us performing it, the live arrangement as well. And that's gonna be the last thing I do. If I somehow cut out while it's playing, then you know my computer just died. But this will be the last thing I post, and then we will jump off of here. So thank you guys again for being on here. I truly appreciate it. And this is gonna be our benedictory song. So. Is it playing? Can
Hey
everybody hear?
everyone,
Oh, there it
so
goes.
I'm here with Jeremy Jackson, this amazing artist.
I might
Jeremy, how
not
you doing
play the
today?
whole
I'm doing well,
interview,
Derest. How are
Jeremy.
you?
I'm doing all
Anybody need the Lord tonight? I always need him. So much is going on today. Can't seem to find my way. I'm tired and confused. I'm trying to catch my breath. Feels like the weight of the world on my chest. What am I going to do? Oh, I need you to help me. I need you to direct me. All I need is you. I need your mercy and your grace to help me.
So as much as I would love to let the song finish, my battery's on this last leg, but I did want to again come on and thank you guys for being a part. And I really hope you all enjoyed it. And I really hope to connect with you all more on here. Like I said, if I spent 30, 45 minutes talking to everybody like I would love to do, then nobody would be on here. But I really appreciate everybody that has joined, and blessings to everyone. Don't forget to either send me a email or go ahead and make use of the Calendly link to schedule a call with me so we can talk more about what it's going to look like for you going from this place here to get your music to that next place. So blessings to everybody. Hope you have an awesome night. Thank you guys for being on. No problem. Thank you. Good night.